DeBoer is the next head coach at the University of Alabama. It was funny. So because Greg Byrne said to the Alabama football team, and it was subsequently made public, that he wanted to try and have something done in 72 hours, I feel like people lost their minds in terms of the timeline of this search. It was Wednesday afternoon at 4 o'clock. It has not yet been – am I remembering that correctly? It was Wednesday, right? Or was it Tuesday?
Yes.
It was Wednesday.
It's Wednesday.
We have not yet hit the 48-hour mark since Nick Saban said to his football team, I'm stepping down. And yet, at like 10 o'clock this morning, certainly by lunchtime today, people were like, if something isn't done soon, this search really has gone off the rails. It had not been 48 hours, and people were like, he's bungling the whole thing. When have we ever seen a coaching search begin and end in less than 2 days? I don't think ever.
Doesn't happen much.
But Greg Byrne
The
just
Patriots.
pulled it off in 2 days.
The Patriots.
Well, yeah. A little easier when you hire in-house.
And have it in his contract, apparently, that nobody knew about, that he was going to be the successor. So, the reaction to this is kind of weird in some circles anyway. Now, a lot of people are praising his coaching acumen. I mean, you don't go 104-12, regardless of the level, without being good. But I've seen too many people, it's only in the Pac-12. What are you talking about? They just won 14. He won 14 games this year at Washington, beat Oregon twice, and Texas for good measure. He is an exceptional football coach, and it may or may not work at Alabama. I don't know. He's not Nick Saban, but too many people are like, I don't know about this hire. Alabama should be disappointed. He didn't do it in the SEC. I mean, I can't wrap my mind around trying to discredit in 2 years at Washington winning 11 games and winning 14 games. And, oh, by the way, against the best coaches in the league, for what it's worth, he's 3-0 against Dan Lanning. He's 2-0 against Sarkisian, who everybody would have called the greatest hire in the world. He's also beaten Lincoln Riley in his one chance and Kyle Whittingham in his one chance. Those are among the greatest coaches in the sport. He hasn't lost to them yet. So I'm kind of flabbergasted at this idea that Alabama did not hire and make an exceptional hire to replace Nick Saban. He's not Nick Saban, but the track record should speak for itself. Apparently it doesn't.
Hey, Dad, there are a lot of Bear Bryant quotes out there. One of the more famous ones, ain't never been nothing but a winner. Kalen DeBoer.
Yeah, that's what Kalen DeBoer is. And I tend to buy into that. I tend to buy in that winners are winners. A guy who can win at one level can win at the other. But, I also get the fear's not the right word, apprehension maybe, because it does feel like in this day and age when guys come from outside the SEC footprint to coach in the SEC, it can be a struggle sometimes. The whole "it just means more" thing. It's not about so much about the passion of the fans as it is the intensity of the coaching of what you have to put in to be a coach, be a successful coach in this conference. Recruiting in the Pac-12 is just not as cutthroat as it is in the SEC. It just isn't. And so, that's going to be a leap for him. He's going to have to come in with his eyes open on that. But this is a guy that has been successful everywhere he's gone. I think he's got the right DNA for it. I think his offense is great. He'll be able to be successful offensively. It's just a question of, can he handle the monster expectations? A friend of mine today put in a text, we were talking, and he said, he won National Coach of the Year this past year, and if he repeats what he did at Washington 5 straight years at Alabama, they'll fire him. If he has 5 straight years where he doesn't win the national title, but he plays for a national title, but doesn't win the national title, they might fire him.
25 wins every 2 years?
Is there a national title?
Yeah, but in your scenario,
in 5 years, if you haven't won a national title at Alabama, they might move on.
Maybe, and they would be stupid. And congratulations to whoever hires him next if they do that.
Yeah.
Another stat for you. So everybody kind of understands that it does take a little bit to get your job going. And because he had a COVID year 1 at Fresno State, this is why the stat is worded this way. But after 10 games at his new job, so he's had 3 new jobs. After 10 games, he is 80-3.
Wow. Combined.
80-3 after his first 10 games at 3 different stops combined.
So, hey, Dad, you made the point about moving from another part of the country into the SEC, and sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes the transition is not smooth for whatever reason, either recruiting or culture or fan bases or expectations or the monster's just too big or whatever. And that's true sometimes. And then sometimes you get Nick Saban.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
true.
You know,
I remember when
sometimes you get Dan Mullen.
I remember when Saban was hired.
SEC school first. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when Saban was hired, and there was a lot of, like, I don't know about this guy. He's had one good season at Michigan State. Yeah, when he was hired at LSU. And you know, there was a lot of, and I remember early in his tenure they lost to UAB, and a lot of people were like, see, this isn't going to work for LSU. This guy's not any good. Who knew at that time? And then Kiffin, Kiffin comes into Tennessee. And in his first year, I mean, they were obviously they were improving that program. They went 6-6. They were going to be good the next year. They had that great recruiting class, and then it all fell apart when he went back to Southern Cal. But then he goes to Florida Atlantic, so that's not in the SEC, but at least you're in the South at that point. You're fighting those battles. So we'll see. You know, we'll see where it goes for Alabama. I will say this, and the Ole Miss fans will be like, of course you're going to say that. I don't think DeBoer was the best coach available in this search. If you get past Sarkisian, I thought Kiffin was. So, and I understand that, you know, that whatever happened prior to his arrival at Ole Miss, whatever happened at Alabama over there, that may have kept him from this job. So be it. If you're an Ole Miss fan, you should be happy that that's the case, because you kept the guy who I think would have been the best coach that they could have hired.
You know, I'm scrolling back through the text history of this guy who sends us this. Why are Ole Miss fans acting like Kiffin turned down Bama? He was probably 5th or 6th choice at best. He had no option but to stay at Ole Miss. He'd crawl to Tuscaloosa. And so that was today. And I go back about 5 messages, and he said, definitely Kiffin is the best choice for Alabama. I want that so bad. I just want to see the meltdown from Ole Miss fans. Please, Bama. So which is it? Which is it? But in truth, what Ole Miss fans have you run into who are acting like Kiffin turned down Alabama? Ole Miss fans today are nothing but happy. Alabama found a coach. It did not create a butterfly effect where Lane Kiffin, not only did Lane Kiffin not go to Alabama, but it doesn't appear that there was a job that opened because of the coach who went to Alabama that might be of interest or might make sense to Lane Kiffin. Today was a win for Ole Miss. And so, pal, I'm sorry. I know you're heartbroken. I know more than anything in life, buddy, you wanted Lane Kiffin to be the next coach at Alabama. You did. And that's fine. But he's not. Sorry.
And the other side of that is, had Norvell or Sarkisian taken this job, those are jobs I think Kiffin might have been interested in. I don't think he'd be interested in Washington. I don't know that Washington will pursue him, but I don't think he would be interested in Washington.
It's a non-starter.
There's nothing about that makes sense.
No.
Nothing.
No, unless they just want to go stupid money. So here's $15 million a year. Then maybe he's listening, but you know.
They reportedly offered to double DeBoer's salary, and it still would have been $1 million short of Kiffin's current salary at Ole Miss. So they're way behind.
Yeah.
Supposedly about a $12 million buyout for DeBoer at Washington, which is a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
It's chicken feed money to Alabama. What are you talking about?
It's still a lot of money. Sports